Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today I am going to be showing you my new toy. I'm so excited that this has arrived. I've been waiting and waiting for it to come out since I heard that they were making it, because I have been getting more and more frustrated with my Grand Caliber and the problems with it that we all know about, particularly the fact that you have sort of a very limited sort of sweet spot on it, really, down the edges and sort of at the tops and stuff. Really the middle of it just doesn't want to cut unless you go through a couple of times and rotate the die, and even the best dies, you know, even their own dies don't cut through very well. So it's very frustrating. But being the only A4, or well, actually it's larger than A4, but the only A4 sized sort of die cutter that I have, there are certain occasions when that was the only machine in town, as it were. I would use my other ones if I could, just because of the fact that it was just so annoying that it wouldn't cut. So this one, they've addressed quite a few of the issues, I think, including the fact that it's a much stronger pressure to cut now. The handle, you don't have to do this where you're winding it around like a lunatic, and you know, it's sort of a much easier wind. In theory, I need to test this, obviously, and the number of materials are supposedly increased. I mean, we've got here from paper to aluminium to wool to denim, balsa wood, grunge wood, so lots and lots of materials here that they say it will go through. And I guess one of the things that they're really pushing it for is the fact that it will now take those big fat dies, like our big dies, which they've brought out their own range of as well. That actually was not a particular selling point for me. I have a Sizzix, so I wasn't too worried. I could manage perfectly well with what I had for that. The main thing for me was that I wanted that bigger plate availability, and one that actually was able to cut on that larger size. There's no point me having the bigger plate size if it doesn't cut a whole channel down the middle very well. So that was really the main thing for me. I've got a few bigger dies, quite a few bigger dies, and I just thought this looked like it's going to cut really well, and I think it looks really smart. So I know here in the UK it's only just come out on Hochanda TV. I get mine via trade channels, not TV channels, but just sort of trade stores, as it were. So it's a slightly different thing for me. I do still purchase it. I didn't get this for free or anything, but I thought it would be really fun to take a look at it with you and see how it works. So I've got here the machine. I also purchased the extra large plates, which I will explain and show you what that means when we get to it, and also the magnetic plate, which obviously to a certain extent is kind of self-explanatory, but again I'll show that to you in due course. So let's get the machine. I've already got it out the box, so I don't see the point in tipping everything out the box in front of you. I think that's just a bit boring. So I've already got it out the box, so let's get it over to the table here and let's get playing. Okay, so here it is. I've turned it on its side so you can see it, and here's the little handle. This is the only part you need to put on. It's very self-explanatory. It's just got a little screw and everything, so that's easy to put on, but that's the only part, and the rest all comes complete. I think it looks really lovely. I think it looks really smart, very Art Deco style, and as I say, the handle on the side here is the only bit you need to put on. And you notice here there's like this sort of piece here. Apparently come January you'll be getting something that can go, I think, into here, and then this will become the socket, I guess, that will allow it to be electronic, so you wouldn't have to use the handle. You can just press a button and through it goes. So I don't know how long that will be before it comes here to the UK. I don't know if that's January as well, but that is all prepped and ready to go, so you're not going to have to buy another machine, they say. So that's really cool that it's all there for you, so if you choose to upgrade you can, you don't have to buy the whole thing again. So I think that's really exciting. So then all you've got, which I think is very heavy, it isn't light. You're not gonna probably travel, I mean you can travel with it, but you're not going to be sort of walking down the street very far with it. You'd probably be popping it in your car, and if you're not that strong, I think it is quite heavy. To me, this is kind of the machine that I would be leaving on my desk and not really moving very much. If I wanted to go out somewhere and take a die cutting machine, I'd probably go for something a little smaller, a little lighter. So unlike their previous machine, this one opens up each side to allow us to have the run through. And I'm just going to put this side up a minute so I can show you here. Although you can't see through, you can see the depth that you've got here. That is why you can put your big dies through. So that's that there. Okay. You want to make sure that it's flat on a table somewhere that both sides can rest down, because otherwise they're going to flap about and that could break the machine. So it's important to make sure of that. Okay, so I've got here what else came with it. Now in this machine itself, obviously you get your leaflet, and it's got some instructions in. I haven't actually looked at those yet. You have it come with it, this little packet, and in here, let's open it up, we have our base plate, which reminds me very much of the Sizzix in many ways, because it's that kind of same thick base plate that we have there, and on it is all the sandwiches, so you're not going to forget what you need because it's right there in front of you on this plate. Now this is the large plate, and this is what you would use for all sizes of the acrylic clear plates that you use. However, what comes with the machine are the smaller plates. Now I have to say, for me, I think that's a bit of a cheat. I personally think that they should have put in there, here's your clear plates and your embossing plate, etc. I think they should have put a set of the large plates. They're trying to talk it up as it being a good thing because, you know, you'd need the small plates anyway because you use the small ones the most, blah blah blah. Well, in that case, give me a small platform as well, because they don't go, I mean, you can use them together, but it's, to me, you know, you're buying, one of the things that you're buying the machine for is the fact that it can be used with the large platform and the large plates. So then don't, you know, cheat me a little bit by putting in the small ones. I actually purchased separately, and you can see I've just had a little play with it, the large plates which match the large platform. I haven't therefore got the large embossing plate or the large mat or anything like that, but there are ways around that apparently, and I've seen it done on Hochanda, and this was done by somebody who was advertising the machine as a representative of Spellbinders to sell it. If you have a grand caliber and you're upgrading, you can use your grand caliber plates. In fact, for some of the other dies, such as, you know, Sue Wilson dies, for example, you may even find that you would find, you know, you need those. They would be very helpful to save you putting shims and things through. You could actually use those plates. So I'm not proposing to actually demonstrate all those different combinations today. What I will do, however, is write them down on my blog posts for you as I saw them told to me. Bear in mind, at this point, I haven't tested those myself. Okay, so as I say, we've got here the tan mat, an embossing plate on it, and they've got a really nice beveled edge. On the front edges, both sides, it's slightly beveled, which is really good because I think you can just catch it in the light there. As you go in the machine, it's not going to go as it catches on the front, it's going to slide in nice and easily. So that's what comes in the box. Obviously you can use that with the small plate easy enough, you can do it that way round, or sorry, it wouldn't be the blue one, or that way around. So lengthways or sideways, it will go through side to side. It's the right width. So if you don't want to go, the good advantage of that is if you go that direction, you're only having to wind it through a very short amount, which is kind of good. And now the other thing that I got, as well as those larger plates, was the magnetic platform. You guys who've seen me working will know that on my Sizzix I've got my magnetic platform, and I absolutely love my magnetic platform. Now the good thing about this in some ways is that this actually is small, so this would work really well with the plates that come in the machine. So if we take a die here, so we've got a die in its packet and it's still attached. It's a really strong magnet. Okay, so if you have any, it says about if you were sort of got pacemakers and stuff, you need to be careful. So just read any instructions before purchasing if you have things like that, to make sure that you can use it okay. But otherwise, I find this brilliant. I love it because you don't have to worry about taping anything, etc. And it's a perfect fit for the small plates that come in the machine. So sort of half the time at least, if not more, probably 75% of the time, you would use the size sort of dies that would require only the smaller plates. Okay, so that's what we've got here. So I'm going to just use for the moment though the larger platform, because that's what comes in the kit. So I want to use it as if, you know, you've only got what comes in the kit, so that we can see how it all works together. And I've picked up one of my Spellbinder dies just to have something to try and show you. So we're going to start with our platform. Grab a die. So what we want is the platform, and again, this is what I do like, is that we are sandwiching the die between our two cutting plates, which with our previous Spellbinders, the Grand Caliber, we didn't do. We had a base plate, then our cardan die, then our cutting plate, and if you forgot and did it the other way round, you'd cut into your base plate, which, you know, although it's not the end of the world, it can be annoying. So I've just got here a piece of American Crafts cardstock, so I'm going to pop that down onto the plate, and then I'm going to put it right in the middle. And I think this is the test really, that we've got the plate here and I've got my die right in the centre there, and then I'm going to finish that sandwich off with another cutting plate. Now what I've noticed is that it feels really strong. As you pull it through, you can feel it feels like it's got some guts to it, you know. So that's just once through. Let's see if that worked. Turn it over, and that has cut through perfectly. So then what I want to do is emboss this one, because we've got some lovely embossing on that. So for embossing a die, it says, it tells us on here how to do the cutting sandwich, and now we've got here how to emboss a cut shape. So we're going to have our platform, our die and paper cut side up. So we've got to just very carefully slide that across. Then we're going to have our tan mat and then our embossing plate. If you have a brand new tan mat, I would dust it with your anti-static powder or even just some baby powder, because it can go a bit, when you put it through, it's a little staticky and it tends to get sort of almost suctions on to what's there, so you don't onto the plate. So it's worth just doing that, but it might be alright. No, this one's worked good. Okay, and then peel that off. Okay. And then just pull that out. And there, that probably wasn't the best colour actually, was it? There we go, just pop that one out. There we go, look at that. So that was one pass, right in the middle, a beautiful sharp cut, and look at that embossing as well. Perfect. Cut. So let's show you a more intricate one, just so you can see for yourself how it cuts so beautifully. But this time I'm going to use my magnetic plate. So we've got our magnetic platform. I'm going to put it through this way now so you can see that you can do it lengthways as well. A magnetic platform, piece of cutting plate, piece of card, and then my dies, and you can see that it just really grips them down, so we don't have to worry then about positioning anything. And again, I'm going to pop it right in the middle, so it's going to go through the middle of the machine. In fact, I'm going to do it that way round, so it's really the middle of the machine, so we can test that out, because that's what was the problem with our grand caliber, is that it wouldn't cut if it was in the middle. So then we're going to put our other cutting plate on top and just run that through. And you can see as well, hopefully, that the handle is not as much turning as with your grand caliber. There we go. And then I want to do my die cutting, my embossing. So I'm just going to turn that over, and just to show you anyway that that has cut, you can see that's cut all the way through. So then I'm going to just gently slide that onto the magnetic platform, and then put my tan mat on top, and then my blue embossing plate on top of that, and then run that through the machine. Now the reason it's moving is because the mat underneath is moving, not the machine. It's so weighty it didn't move at all when I didn't have it on the mat. Okay, so then we remove that, and then make sure you take all these little bits off your tan mat, because what you'll find is you'll emboss it into your cardstock otherwise. And we're just loosening these pieces. You can see they're just dropping off. There's little bits that are stuck because they've got little curly cues and they keep catching on. But now I think it's slightly bounced when it when I slid it off, because the embossing is slightly off. But oh no, I think it's alright. So you can just catch that around the edge, but also look how perfectly, I think that's where I sort of think it had bounced there, because the embossing's gone there, but that was just because I was trying to be quick, it's not the machine. So you can see how perfectly that has cut, and that is a really intricate die, and I popped that straight through the middle. So I think that hopefully proves that the point that this machine really does cut beautifully. And I mean, we know we wouldn't have got that cut if we were using our grand caliber, that is for certain. Okay, so I think the next thing that we need to demonstrate is embossing folders. So I've got a Spellbinders embossabilities here, and again I will put the sandwiches in that you need for other companies, so for any other companies, but you need to kind of test it out and see what works as well, really. So we're going to use my big platform here, and it says what to do. So it says how to build a single or double-sided embossing folder sandwich. So this is probably what you would do for your normal these double-sided ones, and then it also tells you how to build a 3D embossing folder sandwich. So that's your really deep ones that Spellbinders do. This may work for your normal embossing sandwiches, non-Spellbinder ones, so try it out and see what happens. It may be that it's not thick enough, because this is still a thicker, quite a thick embossing folder because of that extra depth, because it's two-sided. Just see what works. So I've got a piece of card here, so just going to pop that in the embossing folder, close it up, so it says platform, embossing folder, single or double-sided, and then one of your cutting mats, and then pop that on there. And again, I could use my, if you had the larger ones, this might be easier at this point, because it would sort of cover it without worrying, but you know that it might sort of pop out the sides a little bit. But anyway, then you just put it through. And again, with this I could have gone so it wasn't lengthways, and I wouldn't have had to have done as much turning. So then just pop that to the side, and you can see already just how beautiful that embossing is. And that's stunning. It's so deep. And again, that was straight through the middle, and there's no spots where it's just not embossed. You can see it's absolutely perfect. So we've done a couple of different types of die cutting, and now we've done some embossing. So I think the last kind of die cutting we need to do really is a Biggs, because I haven't got one of their dies in these deep dies. So I've got my Sizzix here. I just picked up a big square as it happened. So let's just grab a piece of card. So we've popped that on top of there, and then all you do is the same really as you would with your Sizzix. I think you just sandwich the two plates around and pop it through. Now what I do like is, because of that beveled edge, it goes through really nicely at the beginning. There's no that kind of you can't get it through. Okay, it's slightly static. And there we have a perfect cut. Now don't forget, you could use all different materials with you. It's this that determines your materials. So whatever materials your die will cut, this machine will allow the die to cut it. So look at that, stunning. Okay, so that is a look at the new Platinum machine and what it can do. And obviously this is just showing you what it can do using Spellbinders products, and you know, over time as I use and make projects, you'll see me use this, and you'll see me use it with other companies' stuff, the same as we did with our Grand Caliber. We adapted, and a lot of the time, like the combination sandwich for the thin dies that we did almost certainly will work for a lot of our other thin dies. So it's just trying out and see what works. And as I say, I have from Julia that did the presentation on Hochanda the list of sandwiches for Sue Wilson dies, so that would give you another alternative sandwich kind of combination. So that might be another option to try if you've got other dies as well. But this is what we've achieved, and I think this is pretty amazing, because all of this has come through the center of the machine, which was always the weak spot on our Grand Caliber particularly, but even on other machines it can be a weak spot if they're wide, because the pressure just can't be as strong usually in the middle as it is at the sides. But this is going good. So I hope you've enjoyed having a look at it. I hope you're impressed with how it's come out, because I certainly am, and I look forward to using it in projects to come, and I look forward to hearing your comments. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.